critics. Important, isn't it, that they do win this?
Yeah, he's got a good record in League Cup semi-finals away from home, but Everton is certainly coming into this tie with momentum. 3 straight wins against Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal. I think the thing about the League Cup, although it was slightly different this year with the fact that it's been rescheduled from February and put back to the 25th of April. And I certainly know this was the case when Jose Mourinho, in his first spell at Chelsea, he had Steve Clarke alongside him, and they felt that they always wanted to lay down a marker, if you like, because you could get some silverware in the bag early on in the year, give you a little bit of a lift then to get into the business end of the season. Now that's going to change the way that the League Cup has been rescheduled, but nevertheless, you know, the semi-finals will just be one-legged affairs this time in the last 4. They won't be two-legged. They'll be done in early January, and then you'll still have something to look forward to come April time, to know that you've got an opportunity to get a final, win some silverware. And for Everton, that's been a long, long wait. You know, it'll be 26 years by the time next year comes around since they last won a trophy, the FA Cup, back in 1995. And also, more importantly, it gives them another route to try and get into Europe, because if you're honest, Manchester United's priorities for Europe will be the top 4 in the Champions League. But for Everton, just getting back into any European competition would have to be taken as a positive.
Yeah, you've touched on it there, Ian. Everton entering their 26th year without any silverware. So here's Carlo Ancelotti on whether he preferred to win a trophy back or qualify for the Champions League.
I don't know what is best. We are here and we want to fight for this. It is an important game. It's a quarter-final of an important competition that Everton never won in his history, and so we are not so far. We are in a good moment. We are going to play against a really tough opponent that beat us a few weeks ago here, and so it is a great opportunity to show the momentum.
But he's just celebrated a year in charge, Pat. I think when he came in, it's safe to say the expectations were high. They'd had another big transfer window, but do you think it's safe to say they're doing better than expected, or where do you think this Everton side are at?
That's a brilliant question. For me, they've done at least as well as I would have expected them to do. Because, yeah, they've had some transfer windows, they've brought some very good players in. He's been able to add to it. James Rodriguez has been a big part of that. But when you compare it to, say, someone like Chelsea, what they've been able to bring in, you know, it's a wee bit more limited than that. So, yeah, I think he is right up there, at least level with the expectations, and I'd say probably slightly above it. But it seems that, as with everyone else this season, everybody thought at the start of the season, wow, it's amazing, you know, that amazing start they had. They thought, Carlo can take this team all the way to the Champions League at a canter, and then they have a dip, and then they come back. So it's going to be like that. The problem they've got is, I'm just not sure of the depth, you know, real quality. They've got, you know, players that are decent enough players, good players on the bench, but, you know, if they get 1, 2 or 3 injured at the same time, I think that's a real push for them, and that's the difficulty.
Yeah, I think that's been a worry for them. I think Everton have spent a lot of money over the last few years, since Usmanov and Mashiri have come into the football club. I think they've spent a lot of money, and it's not really worked. This is probably, since Carlo's come in, they've been able to get a settled side. Like Pat said, their living is very strong, but after that, you know, it is a worry for them if they do pick up a few injuries. But, you know, that's what you're going to have when you're at a club like Everton. You're not going to have 17, 18 players that are world class. You're going to have top players and a few young lads that are going to be on the bench, and that's all. I think in the next window, if they can add to the bench, make that stronger, then Everton as a club will be stronger as well going forward.
Commentary on the way from Goodison Park, but now it's time to check in once more at St Johnstone with Connie McLaughlin.
Yes, St Johnstone now Rangers 3, the final score here in Perth. Rangers still set a 16-point pace at the top of the Scottish Premiership table, with a festive flurry of goals from Kemar Roofe, Glenn Kamara and Yunus Hadji. They were up against 10 men for the last 20 minutes after Michael O'Halloran was red carded after a second yellow card. A bit of frustration, I think, setting in there, but still, they've now scored 50 53 goals this season, and we've not even had Christmas yet. Not long, but not yet. And despite not being the prettiest performance, I'd have to say, I'm not sure Steven Gerrard will be that concerned as they'll chase their first league title in 10 years. Job done here in Perth. It finished St Johnstone 0, Rangers 3, and a very Merry Christmas to all you guys.
Very Merry Christmas to you as well, Connie. We look forward to speaking to you again soon in the new year. With that, I think we can go to Celtic Park. Full time there, Roddy Forsyth?
Yes, indeed. Celtic 2, Ross County 0. And that game you were just hearing about from Connie is Rangers reaching the halfway stage of their campaign. Celtic therefore desperate not to concede any more leeway to their arch foes from across the other side of the city. 2-0, it wasn't a great performance, but it was adequate, and that's what Celtic need just at the moment. The first goal coming from David Turnbull after very good work by Jeremy Frimpong on the wing, and he put in a cross right underneath the crossbar, and there was Turnbull to turn it over. But at 1-0, and it was 1-0 for quite a while because that goal was scored in the midway through the first half, Celtic were always edgy until Lee Griffiths, just past the hour mark, got a header onto a ball from Christie. He was all alone in the 6-yard box. Griffiths steered the ball away for a second goal, so that sets Celtic up for their next fixture, Boxing Day. Hamilton Accies, who lost tonight. That might or might not work in Celtic's favour, but at the moment it's Celtic 2, Ross County 0, full time at Celtic Park.
Roddy, thank you. We have had a full set of fixtures in the Scottish Premiership this evening. A couple of other full times to bring you. It finished Hibs 1, St Mirren 0, and Hamilton 0, Livingston 2. The latest, it's Motherwell 0, Aberdeen 0, and also 66 minutes gone in the game between Dundee United and Kilmarnock. Dundee United leading 2-0 in that game as well. Right, bring it up to our build-up then in our second quarter-final of the evening. We already know that Tottenham are in the hat for the League Cup semi-finals, along with Brentford and Manchester City, but who will be joining them? We'll soon find out at Goodison Park, where Everton are taking on Manchester United. Our team there, Ian Dennis and Pat Nevin, and also with us as we build up to kick off, Charlie Adam. Charlie, I think we left you on the point there just talking about the fact that, well, Everton's Achilles heel, if they got one, might be that their strength in depth perhaps isn't as strong as other teams that are battling up there right at the top of the table. But with that, with those battles on the pitch tonight, Ian, we've already spoken about the two number 9s, but what about across the pitch in other areas? Where do you think we'll really see some duels tonight?
Well, I think Pat's already mentioned Tuanzebe. It was interesting that his last start was in the centre of defence, but you think back to the shoddy defending against Istanbul Başakşehir, where it was almost like schoolboys the way that they gifted that goal to Demba Ba. So when Pat talks about Tuanzebe up against Richarlison, you hope that the young defender's a little bit more switched on. Bailly hasn't played for Manchester United since they were hammered 6-1 by Spurs. So from that side of defence, Everton might look to target it. But the thing is when they played here in the league last month, Bruno Fernandes was again influential for Manchester United. So whoever it is has got to certainly pay close attention to Manchester United's star player.
And for you, Charlie, if you had to sort of pinpoint one position on that pitch tonight where this game might be won or lost, where do you think it's going to be?
Midfield, I think Paul Pogba. I want to see what Paul Pogba brings to the table tonight. He's had a lot of criticism recently, but we know that he is a top player, and if he's on song tonight, I think, Man United, it makes Man United look a better team.
All right, we'll leave it there. We can hear the iconic Z-Cars theme blasting out across the PA system at Goodison Park, which does indicate that the players are joining each other on the pitch. So with that, we'll join our commentary team, taking you through the twists and turns of this second quarter final of the evening. We've got our senior football reporter, Ian Dennis, alongside the former Everton and Scotland winger, Pat Nevin.
Thank you, Emma. Merseyside is still in Tier 2, so it's 2,000 supporters are inside Goodison Park tonight, and they are camped in this main stand, and they're also spread out in the Gladys Street end of the ground, which is away towards our left-hand side, as Everton in their royal blue shirts and white shorts and white socks take on a Manchester United side in their red shirts and black shorts, and this is a reminder of the two teams. Olsen is in goal. They've made Just the 3 changes from the side that beat Arsenal. Coleman coming in for Holgate is the other one, and the third and final change is Andre Gomez for Davis. So, protecting Olsen, only his third appearance for the club. Coleman the captain, Keane and Mina at the heart of the defence, and Ben Godfrey, Decore and Gomez, and then the 3 behind Calvert-Lewin, Iwobi, Sigurdsson and Richarlison. Manchester United, 9 changes from the side that hammered Leeds United at the weekend. Only 2 players remain, are Maguire in defence and Bruno Fernandes. So you've got a back 4 of Twanzebe, Bailly, Maguire and Telles in front of goalkeeper Dean Henderson. Matic, Pogba, Van der Beek and Fernandes in the midfield. Greenwood and Edison Cavani. And it may well be, Pat, that you look at the games at Boxing Day. Everton are away to Sheffield United. It's an 8 o'clock kickoff, but that early kickoff on Boxing Day is going to come around very, very quickly for Manchester United at Leicester City, which might explain why they've made so many changes.
Maybe part of it. But they have got quality players. They have got more depth of squad than Everton have got. But when you think of it, this is probably the strongest team that Everton can put out. You know, argument over Pickford and goal maybe. But apart from that, it's exactly what you would want if you're an Evertonian. And there's 2,000 there. Over to our left-hand side, they've got real belief tonight.
Well, the referee is Andrew Madley. The players take the knee. The message is as strong as ever in the support to stand up against discrimination, and it was applauded by the Everton supporters here inside Goodison Park as we're underway with Manchester United in this first half, playing from right to left. And they're attacking the noisy Everton supporters, all 2,000 of them, or the majority of them at least, in that Gladys Street end of the ground. So we know 3/4 of the lineup. Manchester City and Brentford from last night. We've already brought you on BBC Radio 5 Live. Stoke City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3. And now we'll see who will fill that remaining berth as Matic strides forward for Manchester United. Almost caught by Calvert-Lewin. Back it goes to Harry Maguire. And he had to quickly come across under pressure from Sigurdsson and put the ball out of play for a throw.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just interesting, we were talking beforehand about system-wise, whether it be 2 up front with Greenwood alongside number 7, Cavani. And in actual fact, it's mostly Cavani up front on his own. And he's going to get some support, obviously, from Bruno Fernandes behind him. So it's probably going to be a wee bit closer to a 4-2-3-1, but we will watch that from Manchester United.
Well, if that is the case, it'll be Van der Beek then on the left-hand side. Fernandes in the 10 behind Cavani, and Greenwood occupying that role on the right-hand side. That tactical spot picked up as ever by the beady eye of Pat Nevin. 2 minutes into this contest here at Goodison Park. Certainly it's a formation that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer has preferred of late. Is Calvert-Lewin with the glancing header, looking for Iwobi, stopped though by Matic. His forward ball is overhit it, and it'll be tidied up at the back by Keane to Olsen, all in green, the Swede. Hit first time back by Twanzebe, coming back from an offside position was Cavani, but although the shot from Fernandes was easily saved. There is no VAR, by the way, tonight, and no extra time either.
Yeah, straight to penalties, so we shall see if that... they're always exciting, but I think both these teams would want the least amount of game time as possible. As you say, there's big games coming up there. Just a little shot there, you know, it's obviously offside there, but I think Henderson will be delighted with that, getting a wee chance to get his hands or get his gloves on the ball. However...
Well, here is Greenwood. Greenwood's won it forward to Fernandes. He tried to help it on into the path of Cavani, and it was just cut out at the last minute. Just didn't have the legs to reach him from the pass from Fernandes. But Manchester United have started very quickly. There's a nice tempo about their play.
Yeah, they're closing really high up as much as they possibly can, and that's Fernandes, obviously Greenwood trying to make an impression. As I say, every one of those players in red want to make sure that they're in that first team, because the first team's doing quite well just now, but that was a decent chance.
Matic chipping the ball forward, looking for the run of Van der Beek. Down into the ground, Cavani was there at the near post, and in the end it was cleared. Gomez out to Richarlison, high. Bailly will head it forward, up in the air, helped on by Telles just outside the centre circle. and then Godfrey will head it away as the Everton left back comes towards Twanzebe, just turns up against Richarlison, back towards Bailly, and then Bailly is in control. And
very noticeable, Liam, by the way. Everton aren't doing the pressing that Manchester United are doing, are they?
No.
Nowhere near it. They're kind of sitting off a little bit, kind of accepting that they're not on the ball just now. We're probably a little bit shocked at, the speed, the level, the urgency that Manchester United have started with. I think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be delighted with that.
Just keeping a close eye on Doucouré. I mean, every time I've seen him this season, he's impressed me for Everton. But when Manchester United were in possession, and they've just awarded a corner kick now, which Telles will go across towards the right-hand side, Doucouré was keeping a very close eye on Fernandes.
Yeah, and a little bit of a shame if he spends his whole time watching Bruno Fernandes, because Doucouré it's the classic box-to-box midfielder, isn't he? He can do it in either area, and he's one of those players you think there's two of them on the pitch sometimes.
It's a very good signing for Everton. So a corner kick, 0-0, right-hand side for Manchester United in front of the Gladys Street. Telles to swing it in towards the four-post, and Olsen, well, he went to punch it. I think it glanced away off the glove of his right hand, and it's gone behind for another corner. That didn't look very convincing.
I just wonder if he actually punched. Was it Mina there when it goes up? The ball comes up there. He goes to punch it away, and he catches a little bit of Mina there. But you're right, it didn't look fabulously convincing. He is getting challenged, but he's been challenged by his own player. And he didn't get much of a punch on it. And as you say, corner kick again to Manchester United. Everton cannot get out of their own half.
It's Telles again to take the corner kick. He's switched sides. It's on this near side, the left. So this should be an out-swinging corner. Mina actually is now getting treatment. He's sat down inside the 6-yard area.
Nose, isn't it? He's got a bump in the nose. I mean, it isn't a straight punch right in his nose. It's not a boxer's punch. It's a little bit of a flap as he tries to flick his hand back there, Olsen. But he just caught him in the nose. And as we were talking before the game, it's a pretty chilly night up here. So that will sting.
Yeah, that's one of those ones that will certainly be making his eyes water, as the physio is still tending to him. So there is a stoppage in play, and because it is such a cold evening on Merseyside, those who are waiting for this corner kick to be taken are just trying to keep warm, although thankfully it's dry. There was a little bit of rain ahead of kick-off. The Everton supporters inside the stadium offer vocal encouragement. Mina is back on his feet, but the referee, Andrew Madley, is telling him he's going to have to leave the field of play. So they're going to miss the aerial height here of the Colombian international if that is the case for this corner kick to be taken.
That is the last thing they want. They're under a little bit of pressure. The power and the height that Manchester United have got is pretty extreme. And Mina, well, he's a main man along with Calvert-Lewin attacking from corner kicks.
So temporarily Everton are down to 10. I've never ever understood that. Telles to take it on this near side, the left. Maguire is forward. Telles still waiting. Telles now delivers it. Cavani's in there, and it was eventually cleared by Godfrey inside a crowded penalty area, headed forward by Fernandes, flicked on by Van der Beek. Everton again have just lost out due to the pressing of Manchester United. Good footwork by Greenwood. Comes to Pogba, to Van der Beek, charged down. Coleman threw himself at it. Comes off the legs of Coleman and goes behind for a corner kick. And Everton under real pressure. Yeah, and they're furious as well, the Everton players, because they thought that Mina was kept off far too long there. In actual fact, the referee had waved him on and he hadn't spotted it. So he stayed off longer than he should have done. That was part of the pressure. Corner kick. This time it's going to be taken by Bruno Fernandes. It's another out-swinger. Pogba goalward, saved by Olsen. Flag is raised. It was a late flag, mind you. It wouldn't have counted, I think, for Edison Cavani. But nevertheless, Manchester United have really pinned Everton back. Yeah, they've started really well. I mean, that was good 2 or 3 yards offside. I mean, that was an absolute stick on. But they really do look quite frazzled. And sometimes if you start a game at a slow pace and the opponent start, on the front foot with that urgency, it can set the tempo for a good deal of the game, most of the first half. And that's why, as we say, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will be delighted with that. He just wants his team to keep that up at the same pace. And you wonder, the fact that Carlo hasn't changed many players, will they be a little bit tiredness there against a team that are very well rested? Yes, 9 changes. Again, a loose ball. This time Cavani's gone for an outrageous effort. Just inside his own half. He spotted that Olsen was off his line. And he hit it right-footed, but it drifted well wide and out for a goal kick.
Well, that's a couple of times Michael Keane's get caught in the ball, isn't it? I mean, earlier in the half, he got caught nearer his 18-yard line, and it led to a chance that Fernandes should have found Cavani. He didn't. On this occasion, once again, ball caught under his feet, looking very jittery at the back, Everton, which is not what you would have said over the last 2 or 3 games.
No, 3 straight wins they've enjoyed against Chelsea, Leicester and Arsenal. Of course, they began the season with their opening 7 matches, all with victories. For Manchester United domestically, when they came here in November, this was one of the 6 games away from home in the Premier League where they've conceded first and have still got on to rattle 3 goals as Coleman is forced to cut out that surging run from Telles, concedes the corner kick. In fact, Manchester United have scored at least 3 in all 8 domestic matches on their travels this season, including Luton and Brighton in this competition, and they're certainly on the front foot here. We're in the 10th minute, it's still 0-0. You're listening to BBC Radio 5 Live. We're also available on the 5 Live final score app through the iPlayer and the BBC Sport app. Fernandes with a corner, headed away by Richarlison. But at the top of the Scottish Premiership, those games have already finished, with Rangers winning away at McDermott Park 3-0 and Celtic 2-0 winners at home to Ross County. So nothing ultimately has changed at the top. Telles sweeps over the cross from the left and headed behind by Decore for another corner kick to Manchester United.
Yeah, and even the full-backs are getting well involved, particularly Telles there. Great running. As soon as he sees that Bruno Fernandes has got the ball, he makes a run. And every player is like that, because they know that Bruno Fernandes can spot their runs, and that was good, lively play down the left-hand side there by Telles.
Manchester United on top, 0-0. Telles with a corner, didn't beat the first man, headed out by Richarlison. That bouncing ball headed forward by Matic. Iwobi then lifts it towards Sigurdsson. Twanzebe was covering, playing as a right back. He'd come across to this near side, the left. Little touch inside by Telles. Van der Beek looking for Telles, loses out with the strength of Iwobi. Decore, forward ball on the halfway line. Richarlison now enters Manchester United territory. Midway through that United half, in front of the main stand on this near side, the right. Back to Coleman on the halfway line. Yerry Mina closed down by Cavani. But Manchester United's work off the ball. Mistake by Olsen. Oh, he got lucky. He got lucky. He almost had it taken off his toes by Cavani, and he was afforded a second opportunity. And the little nibble by Cavani just didn't put him off, but he was so fortunate.
They looked so nervy at the back line there. I mean, certainly, you know, I mentioned Michael Keane a couple of times, because that's not his style, Keane. Usually really comfortable in the ball. Keeper's joined in it there, but no one's getting their foot in the ball. Just a moment ago there, Richarlison got the ball, held it and came backwards. That was actually exceptional play to get a little bit of possession for Everton, because they've had so little.
When people who sometimes on social media will criticise Jordan Pickford, and they say, oh, you're always talking about Jordan Pickford's distribution, but that is one of his strengths, when the ball's at his feet and the way he can get it out. And certainly from what we've seen there, Olsen didn't look at all comfortable when that ball was played back to the Swedish international. 12 minutes played, 0-0. Solskjaer will be very happy though, Pat.
Interesting to see if his team can actually keep up this pace. They've really good attitude about them, and I was on to Charlie Adam before the game, and he was desperate to see a lot from Paul Pogba. Actually, you've got limited amounts from Paul Pogba tonight. If he turns it on as well, with the rest of the team playing the way they are, this could be a long old night for Everton.
And that is the former Everton player and the former Scottish international, of course, Pat Nevin, with us here on BBC Radio 5 Live, as we're gearing ourselves up for a lot of football to be played over the festive period. Boxing Day, Mark Chapman live from midday. 3 o'clock, Fulham against Southampton with the usual goal service. And then a festive football feast on 5 Live on Sunday. Leeds United, Burnley, West Ham, Brighton, Liverpool, West Bromwich Albion, Wolves against Tottenham. So from 11:30, and you think that game at Molineux starts at 7:15, that's a lot of football to be played. And you'll hear it all on BBC 5 Live and, of course, through the BBC Sounds app as well.
Just a look at the stats there. I mean, 73% has got Manchester United at the moment. I'm slightly surprised that's all it is, because they've utterly dominated this, haven't they, so far?
Yes, they have. Twanzebe forward to Greenwood on the right-hand side. The return ball to Twanzebe, who's a little flat-footed. Godfrey should be able to deal with it. No, he's lost out to Twanzebe. Twanzebe inside now, and here is Bruno Fernandes. He gets the shot away. It might fall to Cavani. The goalkeeper makes the save. Went smothering in, using his legs at first to deal with the threat of Cavani, and then he picked up that loose ball inside the penalty area. But how many times have Everton been sloppy at the back?
It's catching. It's definitely catching. I mean, left back now, I mean, before that, it was, both centre-backs have been caught out. Now Godfrey, he's caught out. And it's just going through the entire team at the moment. They need to get a hold of the ball. They need to slow it down. They need someone in midfield, someone like Gomez, Richarlison, whatever. Get the ball down, play a few passes. The thing is, Manchester United aren't giving them an inch. They aren't giving them a second on the ball. And Mina gives the ball away there. That's madness. You need to calm your team down just now, because they're chasing shadows at the moment. And well done, Manchester United, because the attitude is perfect. All the players are working together. There's a real excited, almost youthfulness about the team, even though it's not necessarily yet that youthful a team out there.
Well, they certainly need to heed the warning to Everton, because as we're approaching the quarter of an hour mark, although it's still 0-0, it's Manchester United who've been dictating this game, and it's Manchester United who are forcing the errors as Pogba hits a forward ball looking for the run of Bruno Fernandes. And in fact, sometimes they've been unforced errors from Everton.
I would say they have. I mean, the centre-half certainly. Goalkeeper, his was when he had the ball between his feet, but I mean, they have been spooked by the fact. I mean, we're talking just now, as they're closing down. Keane has to go and play the ball long, and Calvert-Lewin's got no one up front that's going to help him. No one near him. He wins the flick on, but to absolutely no one.
Twanzebe at right back. Cavani's now on that right touch line. His touch was heavy, but it falls to Pogba on the halfway line. Infield to Matic, inside the centre circle. Along the ground now to Telles. Solskjaer's waving his finger. He wanted somebody to go on ahead of him, ahead of Telles on this near side, the left. Nice little touch from Fernandes. Back with Greenwood. The return to Greenwood, and Godfrey was tucked in. It was a good firm challenge by Godfrey. Forward now to the United left back. Telles with a cross on the run, deep inside the area. Cavani's shot beaten out. Back towards Cavani. Cavani, the second chance, blocked again. And Manchester United once more threaten Everton's goal.
It just looked dangerous every time they attack. Doesn't matter if it's left, right, through the centre. Fernandes, his ball there was superb, and they're going again down the right.
This is Greenwood dancing his way around the ball in the penalty area. Van der Beek lets it run through to Cavani. Everton's defence clear, but Twanzebe high up the pitch as a right back.
That's magnificent by Twanzebe. I mean, Richarlison's desperate to get on the ball. Everton need him on the ball. He tries to turn there in the middle of his own half. Twanzebe's right on him, and that is happening to every single player in blue here. I mean, I don't know if Everton are playing terribly, but Man United are playing extremely well, giving them no space whatsoever. It's a very, very impressive start. They'll only be gutted that they haven't scored, because they deserve to be ahead just now, United.
Yes, they do. And Everton are fortunate that it's still 0-0 here on this outstanding quarter-final of the League Cup. Final, of course, has been switched to the 25th of April in the hope that supporters may be present for the final to be played at Wembley. It's a hope that everybody shares as well. But for the semi-finals, they'll be played in early January. They'll come around very, very quickly. Manchester United have certainly made the better start of the two teams here to see who can join Manchester City, Brentford and Tottenham Hotspur in the last four. Maguire coming forward. Telles to Bruno Fernandes. Matic fills in for Maguire. Across to Bailly. Matic just dropping in between the two central defenders, as he so often does. Van der Beek back with Maguire. Maguire, who in the last few days has certainly been playing his role as Santa Claus. He delivered food to elderly residents in his hometown of Mossborough in South Yorkshire, and he's also announced that he'll be sponsoring his old club Brunsmere Athletic with kit and accessories, which I'm sure would have been very gratefully received. So a nice touch of generosity from the England defender Harry Maguire.
It's great to hear that sort of thing, and there's so many examples of it around the country just now. We don't always hear about them all, But a lot of footballers have been doing a lot of good things around Christmas, and to be fair, even before that in the pandemic, a lot being involved.
Yeah. And I'm sure that documentary with Marcus Rashford, with that in mind, will still be available on the BBC iPlayer as well. Everton 0, Manchester United 0, 18 minutes played. Telles back to Matic. The thing is, if you're an Evertonian, Pat Nevin, how do Everton get a foothold in this game?
Well, I was looking at it and thinking, well, it will be, can you get the ball up further up the field? Absolutely no chance, because Telles is basically playing as a left winger, so he can't leave him. So he's pushed back. Richarlison's not absolutely noted for closing down. Certainly Sigurdsson isn't either. So you're not going to be able to do it with closing down. You're going to have to find another way. And that is being intelligent in the middle of the park and holding the ball when you get it. But no one's done it yet. Not one player in that Everton team has done it. Richarlison's tried to, but he hasn't been able to do it yet. And I'm already looking down at Carlo Ancelotti and thinking, are you going to change this? Are you going to maybe adapt the system slightly? And I see that he's moved, Sigurdsson's a wee bit more central, trying to move further up, but he looks a little bit lost in there. He just cannot go on the ball. And if you're playing with someone who's almost playing as a 10 and he's not going to kick, well, your system ain't working.
That's the voice of Pat Nevin, 0-0, 19 minutes played. Olsen, the Everton goalkeeper, strikes it downfield long. Calvert-Lewin climbs in the air, loses out to his England international teammate Harry Maguire. Tuanzebe at right back to Henderson, all in yellow. Back with Maguire, back with Henderson. Bailly comes forward. There was a little bit of a press there from Everton, but Manchester United have beaten it, and then Tuanzebe hits it downfield, and it goes out of play for a throw.
Deno, can I say, that was a dreadful press. I mean, that was awful. 3 went and pressed, but the other 3 midfielders went backwards. You can't press with 3 against 6.
Has to be a trigger point, doesn't it?
Everyone has to come up, or don't do it. Because you do that, they'll just pass through you, and you've lost 3 players out of the game and they're attacking you. It's, again, do not try that unless everyone's on the same page.
Well, Everton have now advanced a little bit further downfield. Still goalless. We're approaching the midway point of this first half here on BBC Radio 5 Live. Godfrey, the former Norwich player, at left back with the throw. Sigurdsson now coming forward. Sigurdsson to the left corner of the area. Sigurdsson all the way into the penalty area. Got the shot away. It was blocked by the knees of Maguire. Manchester United now on the counter-attack maybe. Pogba looks up. Cavani on the stretch, can't control it. Coming forward now is Yerry Mina inside the centre circle of the Manchester United half, and lifted across then to Coleman at right back. Forward to Iwobi. Coleman's going to go on the overlap. Decore is forward, back with Iwobi. There is that run for Coleman. Iwobi's found him, but a couple of bounces and it races away from him and out for a goal kick. But all of a sudden there was slightly more encouraging signs.
Well, first of all, that was 5 or 6 passes together that Everton managed to play there on that right-hand side. So that's a lift for them. But you're right, the chance before that for Sigurdsson, when he goes into the box, really nice dribble there and gets the ball on target. So you're asking what will lift Everton. Well, something like that, you know, and then start getting the ball down and holding that little in the midfield. Again, I'm sure, I don't know if Charlie Idlen's come back at half-time, but to be fair, he'll be looking at that saying, you'd love to play against that, because he's getting lots of space in the midfield. They aren't holding it. They've got to hold it. They must do that.
It's still 0-0, 22 minutes played. Fernandes inside to Pogba, forward, Greenwood able to turn, out to Tuanzebe, the right back, midway through the Everton half, back forward then towards Greenwood, right side of the penalty area, back then to Tuanzebe, level with the penalty area, just in from the touchline on the right hand side. Tuanzebe, Pogba in field, midway through the Everton half, Matic forward ball, Cavani lays it off towards Matic, zipping the ball around nicely though Manchester United, nice pace to their passing. Matic once again forward, Cavani on the stretch, Van der Beek was there behind him, back it goes to Cavani, inside now to Fernandes, and then across towards Tuanzebe. Greenwood still holds the width. Here he is on the right hand side. Back it goes to Bruno Fernandes. Inside now to Pogba. Pogba dinks it into the penalty area. Tuanzebe's gone forward as well, and Everton's defence have got it away through Michael Keane.
They just look lovely on the ball, don't they? There are certain players in the game who pass the ball a different way from everyone else, and Bruno Fernandes is one of them, isn't he? I mean, he plays, I mean, a speed and an awareness just like no one else, and he's surrounded by top international players, but he just looks a little standard above just everyone else in the field just now. I mean, he's having a fabulous game so far. And sometimes it's just a one touch, but he's destroying Everton with those little touches, creating space everywhere.
The only thing missing from a Manchester United point of view has been a goal. It's still 0-0, but they are so on top. Here is Bruno Fernandes, back to Greenwood, again, neat footwork. Stopped though by a firm challenge by Decore. Every time a loose ball or a challenge is made, the loose ball seems to be picked up by a player in red.
Yeah, classically setting ball up for it, and they are up for it just now. It's because they are sharper and livelier and more on up for it just now. The other thing might be worth, don't really worry Manchester United supporters. Everton played against Chelsea and they had something like 25% of the possession. Didn't make any difference in the end. It comes to who scores the goals, and that's what Everton, they have to make sure they can survive that, maybe even get to half-time, because at some point you expect they will at some point get a part of the game.
Greenwood finds a pocket of space, spreads it out to Telles. In comes the cross, and the header has just gone and kissed the base of the left-hand post from Greenwood, actually, who made the darting run into the penalty area, dropping onto his knees, and his header has hit the base of the left-hand post of Olsen's, and it's gone behind for a goal kick, and United again come close.
We were right behind that. We had the perfect angle for it there, and it looked for all the world it's going to hit the post and go in, but it just screwed away at the last seconds there. But once again, good movement there from Greenwood, but very, very impressed by Telles. There's lots of reasons why United are playing well, but Telles spending his time not as a left fullback but as a left winger getting up that field is having a massive effect in this game, a massive positive effect. And if you compare him, the man who's almost directly against the right fullback, Coleman's only got up the pitch once so far in this game. That's a major reason why United are having a real good time down this left-hand side as well as everywhere else.
You wouldn't know they'd made 9 changes, would you? Manchester United.
Other than the fact that they look fresh. Other than that fact that they do look zippy, they look fresh. No one looks tired, and there's a kind of... I mean, it is only 5% that makes a big difference in these situations, but you can see it. You can really see it in those Everton players just now. There is a kind of... It's not a lethargy, but there's a lack of sharpness so far in the game.
Well, Everton have got a free kick. It's been hit long by Gomez. Henderson came a long way off his line out to this near side, what would have been his left-hand side of the penalty area, and in the end he just pulled his arm away as he realised it was going to go out of play for a goal kick. So it's still 0-0. 26 minutes played here at Goodison Park on BBC Radio 5 Live. Also available through BBC Sounds. Nice little layoff by Van der Beek. Matic will run forward. Matic spreads it, play out towards Tuanzebe. Infield to Bailly. Bailly short of the halfway line. Sees a gap, goes in between Sigurdsson and Richarlison. Bailly carries the ball forward. Greenwood's in a central area. The return ball back towards Greenwood. Greenwood waits. Bruno Fernandes is now on the left-hand side. Fernandes with a cross. Cavani at the far post. Couldn't get under it. I think it just went out from an Everton touch. Might have been off Yerry Mina. Took it out of his range and behind for a corner kick.
Again, brilliant play. And every single Manchester United player is playing with confidence just now. And I see everyone. I asked the question about Tuanzebe against Richarlison before the game. Tuanzebe is winning that by a country mile just now. But when you start seeing Eric Bailly coming out and going on an amazing dribble, you know they're confident. You really know they're confident.
And that was certainly highlighted with that run from Eric Bailly, who we said he hasn't played since October when Manchester United were beaten 6-1 by Tottenham. Corner kick for Manchester United, far side on the right, came all the way to Pogba. I think actually he was surprised it came to him about 7 yards out, and his header was straight back at Olsen.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame Pogba in that. He gets the right place there, but it's bounced in front of him. But it's coming at such a pace, and you're right, it comes through a whole mass of bodies there. I think the last thing he expected was the ball to land in his head. He managed to redirect it with no power.
Everton have just made a change, Pat. Iwobi and Richarlison have just swapped. Now, whether that was because Richarlison didn't track back enough for when Bailly made that run, I'm not too sure. But Iwobi is now playing on the Everton left, and Richarlison switched to the right.
Well, they do switch it now and again just to ask a different question. But it's going to be, if Richarlison didn't fancy chasing Tuanzebe, good luck with Telles. He's spending a lot more time going forward. We'll see though.
Coleman, that was cut out by Telles, who was running back into his defensive position, and he goes all the way back to Henderson. Are you able to, what was your stats with the percentage? Has it increased for Manchester United? I know you've got to take off a glove to operate that.
I don't want to sound soft or anything. I'm taking off my glove, but also my heated pads inside the glove. I'm hearing in my ear 71%.
Yeah.
So it's gone down 2%.
I wasn't going to actually. I was going to wait for you to do the. Yeah, I thought if you've taken that effort to take off the glove, I was more than happy to wait. But the producer beat you to it. Next time, I'll just say, I'll send a message to the producer. I'll keep your hands warm. It's still 0-0. We're approaching the half-hour mark. Everton against Manchester United in this Carabao Cup quarter-final. Ooh, the back pass by Tuanzebe almost let in Iwobi, but it required the Bailly to run back just to get there. At the minute, that's the only way you can see Everton getting back into this game. A mistake from Manchester United, such is the dominance from the away team.
It won't last the whole game. Everton will have a period. They are not a bad side. At some point, United won't be able to keep up that pressure for the entire game. There will be a period, and Everton have to make it count when they get that period. Don't give the ball away in stupid areas. Hold the ball, keep possession, give a little bit of belief, allow that to course through the team, and suddenly then you can sort of feel yourself coming back into it. But at the moment, we've seen very little of it.
15 minutes to go to half-time. 0-0. Van der Beek, forward. Cavani, good control. Infield, Matic, forward. Outside the centre circle. Fernandes, able to turn. Tuanzebe joining the attack. Forward of the centre circle now. Fernandes back out to Pogba, just to the right side of the centre circle. They're in the Everton half, though, of Manchester United. And now it's across to this near side, Telles. Back then with Matic, forward, Bruno Fernandes, Decore behind him, loose ball picked up by Calvert-Lewin. Calvert-Lewin now with a chance to run at the heart of the United defence. Calvert-Lewin might have to go it alone, he waits for some support. It arrives in the shape of Iwobi, left-hand side, back towards Gomez, it went astray, picked up by Van der Beek, towards Cavani. Cavani was fouled, says referee Andrew Madley. Free kick to Manchester United outside the centre circle in their own half, 0-0.
Hard work for Dominic Calvert-Lewin, isn't it? Up there, he makes a really good move in there. One bad pass, and it was from Bruno Fernandes. Every other pass has been superb in this game so far, but slightly off. Pogba wasn't ready for it, didn't read it. But Calvert-Lewin, he had no support, did he? Two players on, he had to try and get past the two centre-backs. Never looked like he was going to do that. At least Richarlison made the effort to get there, but didn't have the energy to get there. And as he was trying to get into that area, Telles had marked him all the way back. So it's a little half of a sniff of a chance. You can't say more than that for Everton.
Cavani's given the ball away whilst Pat was talking. That was then straight to Iwobi. Gomez to Decore, and Decore goes back to Michael Keane. Yerry Mina now for Everton. Blue shirts, white shorts, defending the Gladys Street end of the ground here at Goodison Park. So therefore, as we look, they're playing from left to right. Mina to Coleman, back in the side, forward to Richarlison. Tackled by Telles. And last touch off Richarlison. Might just have to adjust the boot there. He was snapping at the heels, was first Telles and then Van der Beek. It'll be an Everton throw, though, on this near side in front of the main stand. And we've got 13 minutes to go to half-time. Gomez heads it back to Yerry Mina. Can't recall Everton having one effort.
Well, one scuffed effort. Sigurdsson, remember, he went back in a little dribble down the left-hand side. But it really it amounted to very, very little. The keeper was never going to let that one in. But apart from that, nothing really.
Iwobi. He's given the ball away. Pogba. Tuanzebe. Forward to Bruno Fernandes. Short of the halfway line. Back heels the ball to Tuanzebe. Matic now will take over midway through the Manchester United half. We've already brought you Stoke City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3. You can just imagine Clinton Morrison driving back home. The heater's on full blast. And aroma of his aftershave will be swirling around his car once more.
That aftershave, we have the windows on.
Here is Fernandes.
Sorry, big man.
0-0 here at Goodison. Gomez nicks it back. Forward to Gomez from King. Switches play to Coleman. Space to run into for Seamus Coleman. And then back with Mina. Michael Keane. Sigurdsson. Almost ironic cheers from some of the Everton supporters as they've kept the ball for a long period of time, Everton, and now Godfrey carries it forward. Out towards Iwobi. Level with the penalty area on that far side of the left. Playing from left to right, still 0-0.
Do you know what I mentioned right at the start of the game? You can lose half a game by not starting well enough. And Everton have lost about half an hour there because they didn't start well enough, they weren't sharp enough, and they were on the back foot and really couldn't get themselves going. Just the faintest stirrings now.
Yes, they are.
Just the faintest stirrings. A bit more confidence, a bit more belief, a willingness to go and find each other, a willingness to make yourself available for the pass.
Iwobi chips over the cross from the left, over the head of Sigurdsson. It was taken on the chest by Bailly, who then cleared. Coleman, Decore, manages to find it to Richarlison, cutting in off the right touch line. Goes square, Sigurdsson. Godfrey joins the attack. Sigurdsson might not need him. He goes back out towards Coleman. Coleman forward now on the right-hand side. Richarlison. Sustained spell this from Everton, still 0-0. Sigurdsson. Cross didn't beat Matic. Behind it goes for a corner kick. And that's the vocal encouragement that the Evertonians provide from the Gladys Street end.
Well, first of all, what a lovely noise to hear. A real noise to hear in the background. That is a good noise. You know, real fans getting behind their team. They know they've been under the cosh, but they're stuck by them. They've been desperate to get back into these stadiums. But they're absolutely right to roll there. They need encouragement, those Everton players, just now. But the last 2 minutes, they've looked okay.
Sigurdsson's to take it on this near side, the right. Still goalless. 11 minutes to go to half-time. It's deep. Calvert-Lewin climbed high, but his header dropped at the feet of Henderson, who didn't really have to stretch to make the save. And it's still goalless.
Yeah, but a massive lift there for Everton. I mean, I said just a few minutes ago, 5 minutes ago or so, United or any team can't really keep up that level of pressing for an entire game. There will be a period. Well, moments later, that period began to happen. And there will be other periods in the game, but we shall see who the next team is to get that little bit of belief. Can Everton begin to grow into the game? I have a slight suspicion they might.
Well, they're certainly urged on now. Richarlison switched back out towards the left-hand side, and here he is, the Brazilian. Godfrey just behind him. Left corner of the penalty area. Sigurdsson finds some space. Back towards Godfrey. Godfrey goes down, and there's a bit of a tussle for the ball. Matic plays it back. Henderson digs it out and clears. There's no VAR, by the way, so it's back to the good old days. It won't be checked. Play can continue.
I don't think it was anywhere close to a penalty kick. I mean, getting a shout there. I think it was Godfrey, was it? Who's going into the box there. I don't think he's complaining much about that. I think that was a stumble more than anything else.
Coleman, Iwobi. You're right about the supporters, by the way, Pat. I encountered and experienced my first game with supporters only at the weekend, Southampton against Manchester City, when the teams came out as Keane surges forward, and that's a direct free kick in favour of Everton, awarded by the referee, but it makes such a difference.
Yeah, and it's a lovely feeling. I mean, actually, I wouldn't say I'm a fan, but I like the fact that we've put the fake crowd noise on. I think it's been needed sometimes. So I'm behind that, but it's not close, is it?
No.
In comparison. And there's only 2,000 in here, but they're all up the Gladys Street end there, and they're all desperate, for the second half when the Everton play. They'll hope go towards them. Now this free kick, 28 yards out. There's 2 or 3 players in that Everton team that would really fancy it, but clearly no one more than Gylfi Sigurdsson.
And it's quite central as well, isn't it? It's maybe fractionally left of centre, but only a fraction.
I think it's perfect for Sigurdsson. I think you wouldn't place it anywhere else in the field other than exactly where it is just now.
Well, he's certainly eyeing it up. Gylfi Sigurdsson. Manchester United have every red shirt back on the edge of their penalty area. Sigurdsson from about 27 yards out. Right-footed, saved by Henderson, and what a save. Moving away towards his right-hand side, got both hands on it, strong wrists, and it needed to be to turn it behind.
Magnificent free kick that. I mean, he gets the ball up and down, plenty of power, plenty of bend, in towards the corner, not quite far enough, it's just under the crossbar. Super save, as you say, by Henderson, and he's had very little to do, and that makes it an even better save.
Yeah, his concentration levels certainly had to be high there. Somebody's actually just stood on his toe. I think it might be Godfrey. He was hopping there on the goal line. In comes the corner kick now from Sigurdsson, and it's headed away by Telles on the edge of the 6-yard box as Manchester United defend an Everton attack from left to right with 7 minutes to go at a half-time.
You get a lift sometimes. So if you've been under the cosh and you know you've got away with it slightly, 3 or 4 chances for the opposition, you haven't been part of the play, and then you think, wait a minute, we should be down by now. You sometimes actually get a lift from that. And I think Everton have got that lift these last few minutes. They've had a few corner kicks. They're going to get another one now. I don't think the assistant referee knew, but He reacted to the players.
This is the best spell of the game for Everton, without a shadow of a doubt. It's still 0-0, but they're finishing the half certainly strong. And they've got another corner kick. Henderson's just had to pull up a very good save to keep out Sigurdsson's free kick. And now the Icelandic international places the ball down in the quadrant on this near side, the right. This should be an outswinger. Mina's up from the back. Calvert-Lewin's there, as is Godfrey and Richarlison. Keane's inside the 6-yard area. In it comes now. Calvert-Lewin climbed high, and just as it bounced away off, I think, the thighs of Godfrey, there is Harry Maguire to clatter it out of play for that throw on the far side.
He has got an extraordinary leap, hasn't he, Calvert-Lewin? I mean, there's a lot of good players, very, very good in the air there, but he was head and shoulders above everyone there. Just couldn't get that head onto it.
I'm reliably told that Tanganga at Tottenham Hotspur has a very good leap, but Calvert-Lewin...
I'll give you that, and I'll raise you Kurt Zuma. May well be the best. The height they can get up with a jump, but certainly it's a decent battle, that.
Does Kurt Zuma need to leap?
Oh no, he's incredible. It's unnatural he's that good.
Calvert-Lewin heads it back to Decore, getting up the pitch now to Richarlison. Richarlison caught by Pogba, breaks back to Gomez, then he's given the ball away to Greenwood midway through his own half. It's still 0-0. Greenwood and Bruno Fernandes, 2 hurried passes between the two, and Greenwood's forced Fernandes out far wide. Everton are so much more competitive now.
It's one little thing can change it. You know, managers often say, you know, a tackle, or, you know, someone closes down and everyone gets behind. I think it was that little dribble from Sigurdsson, you know, just earlier on there, just a little bit of belief came. And I think they realised then that United will not close them down at quite that level that they had done for the first half an hour. Suddenly see the spaces, suddenly you get a little bit, half a yard to relax a bit, which you didn't get before, and then it's a completely different game. And you're right, Everton, totally different team just now. I mean, it's not been brilliant, and they've still been second best in this game so far, but they're now in the game.
In that respect, as Decore in field keeps it in play towards Iwobi, I'll hold that thought. Back with Iwobi, forward ball. Sigurdsson makes the run, tried the back heel, didn't come off. Instead he shoots low, left-footed, and it's saved by Henderson. But Everton now are getting more space and they're creating more chances. Have Manchester United dropped off a little bit?
I don't think they've deliberately dropped off. I think it is that idea of if you close down and spook the opposition, that's absolutely brilliant. But you have to do that 100 mile an hour, and everybody has to do it at the same time. And if one guy stops, then you get picked off, and that's kind of happened slightly for them. I mean, it's no surprise. It's no dig at Manchester United. It's incredibly hard to keep on doing that for 90 minutes at that pace. So there will be that dip. I was expecting it, and it has come. I still don't think Ole Gunnar Solskjaer will come in and say you dropped off, you were terrible. I think he'll understand that that will happen at some point in the game. But they need to try and put their, you know, strength of character back into it. And it's players like Pogba now, you think, right, OK, time to step up to it now. It's time to control that midfield if we possibly can.
Just to illustrate how Everton have come back into the game now, still at 0-0 with about 3 minutes to go to half-time. I think it was the first effort on target was after 34 minutes, the Calvert-Lewin header straight at Henderson. But since then, they've created 3 opportunities in about a 7-minute period. As Matic is on the ball, he's on the halfway line, red shirts, black shorts, they're playing from right to left.
By the way, wait for this for an update. 58% possession for Man United, so this tells you the story of it. It's completely changed in the last 10-15 minutes.
And when they were on top and when they were dominant, the nearest they came was that Greenwood header that just kissed the base of the post.
There was 2 very good saves, wasn't there, from Cavani and the back post as well, which you have to say, well done. Olsen came out there, made himself very, very big, didn't know much about him, but made sure that he got his entire body in the way.
Bailly at the back, Manchester United in possession. We're approaching half-time on BBC Radio 5 Live. I'm sure we'll have reaction from the first commentary that we brought you. Stoke City 1, Tottenham Hotspur 3. As Jose Mourinho takes his side into the semi-finals. And he's reached the semi-finals for a 5th time now in this competition. Previous 4, he's won it every single time. What is it, 2008 since Tottenham's last silverware? You have to go a little bit longer back for Everton, 1995. As Matic out to Telles, not getting round the back though at the minute. Manchester United having to be patient. Telles, little dink forward, but Iwobi's gone, and Iwobi should see this out, and indeed he does, and marshals the ball safely behind for a goal kick. They look a completely different side.
It can happen in games, and you look to the manager. Did you change it slightly? Did you move your midfield up a little bit? And it may well be that. Remember, he made that little change where Richarlison came over and changed with the Iwobi for a little while, asked a couple of different questions. I just think that sometimes you get an ebb and flow of a game. It's been so much that way, and I did say really early on the commentary, if you start that slowly, it can affect you for 25 minutes. I've played with lots of managers who say, first thing you do, get the ball down into the corner and squeeze. Just put that mindset in there. United done well to keep that mindset, but have not managed to keep it for the entirety of the half.
Iwobi in a battle there with 3 players from Manchester United. It was Van der Beek who got it out, released it to Fernandes, infield to Pogba. Pogba midway through his own half with Sigurdsson behind him. Maguire's forward ball. Matic shields the ball away from Sigurdsson. And Manchester United eventually managed to bypass Sigurdsson and Iwobi as Telles is forward. They've done well, Manchester United. Pogba's forward ball finds Greenwood. Michael Keane read the danger, came across. Good defending from Michael Keane. He covered for Yerry Mina, dealt with it, and out of play it goes for a throw. But the multi-ball system's in operation. In comes the cross. Superb clearance by Yerry Mina. He's managed to hook that ball away, sliding towards his own goal, and somehow has cleared it from reaching Cavani.
For a defender, that's as good as an overhead kick goal scored. That is magnificent defending. He had no right to get that ball. Actually tried to shoot the same thing a few minutes earlier and made a mess of it. This time he got it right.
You think how they were sloppy at the back to begin with, but we've seen 2 examples there. First of all from Michael Keane, and then of Yerry Mina. 2 defenders switched on, and they needed to be.
Yeah, working together actually. A little bit of belief come back into them. There was a total lack of belief early in the game. But yeah, 2 brilliant bits of defending from the 2 centre-halves. And they've got that quality. It just wasn't being shown often enough at the start of the game.
That would have certainly tested the old calf muscles for Yerry Mina, as we're into 60 seconds of stoppage time here, and Manchester United have been awarded a free kick, which is certainly over 30 yards out from goal. It must be touching 33 yards out. Bruno Fernandes will have a dip. And in the end, right-footed, moved in the air, but Olsen made the save with his body behind the ball.
It is a very good free kick. It's a long way out, but what he's trying to do is get the bend in the swerve, but he wants to bounce just before the goalkeeper. And it's probably gone about a half a yard too far. Had it zipped off that turf just before the keeper, with the players that were closing in like Cavani and Greenwood there, that could have been a really dangerous free kick.
0-0 it remains. Maguire has got a free kick. I think he may have just been caught by Dominic Calvert-Lewin, the referee. He's had a decent game, the ref, hasn't he?
There's been no problems whatsoever. I don't think he's got a decision wrong. Dare I say, what about VAR? Who needs it?
There's certainly been a nice flow to the game. That is the half-time whistle in this quarter-final tie. It's Everton 0, Manchester United 0. Manchester United with Greenwood hitting the post with a header, Olsen making a double save from Cavani, and then an excellent save from Henderson to keep out a Sigurdsson free kick. Would you say in the balance of the half that United has still shaded it?
Oh yeah, more than shaded it.
Yeah.
I'd say more than shaded. Certainly that first. I would say 31 minutes. I think it was 31 the last time I looked at the clock, when they were totally in control. Made a lot of chances, got a lot of corner kicks, played at a fantastic pace. Really impressed with them all the way back to front, every single player. And it's just about 15 minutes that Everton have got back into it and created a few chances of their own. We shall see how the second half goes. I would add one warning to Evertonians getting a bit excited. Have a look at that United substitutes bench. That may be a bit scary later in the game.
Yes, they still have Martial and Rashford to maybe come off the bench to try and change things. But half-time, Everton 0, Manchester United 0.
Pat, with United dominating that first half an hour or so the way they did, I'm sure Ancelotti will be somewhat relieved, won't he, going in at the break. The momentum is much more in the balance, but more importantly, United didn't capitalise when they could have.
Yep, the psychology of it is actually in Everton's favour just now. I've said, look, who were the better team over the half? It was Manchester United. Who had more chances? It was Manchester United. But it's still 0-0. And they go in there, and Everton are going in there with smiles, because they've ended the half well, but also they've got back into it, and they've not lost the goal. they probably deserve to lose. So psychologically, one manager's much happier than the other manager. One set of players is happier than the other set of players. And it's the Evertonians just now. And in the second half, and I know from experience of many years ago, they're now facing their favourite end. And on top of that, the favourite end they're facing has got 2,000 of the fans in it, Emma. So they have even more to be excited about.
Yeah, that's very true indeed. I'll bring in the former Stoke City and Liverpool midfielder Charlie Adam, who's still with us. Charlie, just picking up on what Pat said there, I suppose the psychological edge that Everton might have at this point, despite Manchester United dominating so much of this game so far. Just picking up on what Ian and Pat said in commentary, it seemed to switch a little bit when Iwobi switched sides with Richarlison, and since then, as Ian said, I think they had about 3 chances in the space of 7 minutes, Everton.
Yeah, when in games like this, there's always this, the opposition or whoever it is, there's always a moment in the game where it could change and it swings over, and that's when you've got to be ready that you've not let the game go. And Everton, they stuck in there, they hung in there. You know, Man United had a couple of chances. Greenwood's header against the post, 2 good saves from the goalkeeper. But like one small tactical decision can make it change the other way, and it did that for Everton. Like Pat said, Everton will be looking, thinking, right, okay, we never really played as well as we could for 30 odd minutes. Then we got a little bit of momentum. Now can we go and impose ourselves in the second half on the game and try and, you know, shoot into our favourite end with the fans in front of us and get a lead and get an opportunity to score a goal.
I suppose, Ian, that Ole will be looking at this as well, and tactically how he responds, because tempo, as you've said, can only get you so far in a game like this. It's a lot, isn't it, to keep it up for a full 90 minutes. So what kind of conversations do you think they'll be having?
I think the way that they've played, I don't think they need to change too much. Very unfortunate not to be ahead.